Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. I am Max Loeb, he is Chef Zay, and we are bringing you the Vikings preview episode in London, 9:30 a.m. with a new starting quarterback, Zay. It's been a wild week since we last talked after the abysmal loss to the Detroit Lions, but how have you been feeling amidst all this news? A lot of media stuff this week as well. How's the week been for you?
Oh, my mic on. my bad.
I almost set a line with my friends for you to do that at the beginning of the episode because they thought you were going to do it.
Come on, man. They know how I am. I was definitely doing that, but I'm feeling a little optimistic. I don't know how much optimism it is, but nothing can really be worse than what we've seen. So, I'm feeling good, man. How you feeling? I see you got your Guardians gear on.
Yeah, fresh out of the game. It was
fresh out, man.
But you know what? It was good.
You're back in town too. Welcome back.
Yes, I'm very, very happy to be back in the wonderful city of Cleveland. Even though for this weekend it is in London, it's a quote home game for the Browns. But no, it's good. It's been a wild week, like you said. It's can't get worse than it's been, I think, at least. And that's kind of what I've been saying for a couple weeks, waiting for a change. Change came. Is it going to be noticeably better? I'm not sure. I honestly don't really think so, but it probably will get better as the year goes on. And this step needed to be taken in order to get to that point. So it's kind of nipping in the bud earlier than necessary. And I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see the different offensive product on the field. I don't know how different it's going to look, but I think there's some hope for the first time really since week one.
The thing that I know it's going to happen. And that's what I'm fearing that I'm wrong. It just feels like we're going to get the dumbed down version of the offense. Dillon Gabriel will do what he needs to do, and then we'll implement the offense with him, and then we'll be right back where we are now. But I think that I was telling Pat before we got on, this has I told you so written all over it, where it's like we'll put up 24 points. If we don't put up 7 points or 10 points, it'll be one of those 24-point games. It's like, see, Kevin Stefanski can score over 20, and all he needed was Dillon Gabriel. Like, I feel like that's what we're leaning into right now.
Well, that is definitely going to be the dialogue that takes place if the Browns win. My question then becomes, what if the Browns put up 20 points for the first time this year? I want to make sure everybody knows that. What if the Browns put up 20
11
points
games?
That's insane.
If they put up, that's ridiculous. If they put up 20 points and lose, it's the silver lining. It's the optimism. It's the hope. It's the Kevin gets good quarterback play, or he gets what his guy. He can do this. Now let's see what the weeks move forward. Oh, the schedule gets a little bit easier. This is a perfect example. It's funny how like we almost kind of envisioned this. Like we kind of saw this coming months ago as we broke this down. It was like hypothetically this could happen. And sure enough, it's funny how all of this is replaying just like how we talked about during the dark days of April and May.
Yeah, and I think the reality is the way the Browns are set up in terms of how hard the schedule is the rest of the year, or just in general, but rest of the year, the decision that they potentially could have to make with Kevin Stefanski come the end of the year, because I don't think he's going to get fired mid-season. This had to happen, and you think he will?
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I think there's a very high possibility he could.
Really?
I don't know about high possibility, but I think there's a world he could. Yeah. Here's where I only think that though, is because it's clear that they don't want to do anything with Shedeur, right? And you still wasted a pick with Shedeur, and you're not going to want to just let that go, especially knowing the value that could potentially be there. I think if it gets to a point where the Browns are, I don't know, that week 14 mark, I keep circling that one because that's where the headlines will be. That's where the storyline is with Cam Ward and Shedeur. Like if we're 3-11 at that point, you're telling me at this point, like what the hell are we doing? Like I don't see how a quarter. Like I don't know how you can manage that when you know you have a top 2 defense in the league, number 1 defense in the league.
Do you think there's enough on the roster this year to like turn that around? Like the way I view it now is really.
I think this formula is simple because, like, think about it. This is why I always talk about how dumbed down like if you just all we need is the dumbed down version of the offense. We didn't think that we
Yeah.
could pull out 11 games with PJ Walker and all of those quarterbacks back in 2023. You have a running back who's averaging over 100 yards from the line of scrimmage. You have a tight end who can't be tackled by one or two guys at a time. You
Multiple
have
tight ends that do that. Yeah.
multiple tight ends. Exactly. You still have Jerry Jeudy who's creating separation. It's just a matter of him catching the ball. Like there is enough talent on this roster to go out there and make, like, I'm trying to think back. What was the Eagles offensive roster? You mean to tell me they're going to look at that and be like, I don't know if we're going to go in here with Nick Foles and pull this thing out. No, you're offensive guru. You need to figure this out. You have a number one, number two defense in the league. You're telling me we're going to let this go to waste because we don't have enough? Absolutely not. When our offensive coach is supposed to be offensive minded, you're supposed to find a way to get the best out of everybody.
That is true, and that has not been the case so far this year, which it begs me to ask, how much longer is Stefanski's leash with Dillon Gabriel? Is it any longer? Because like we've talked about so many times this offseason, this is the guy that, you went out on a limb and picked in the third round when a lot of people thought it should be a third round pick. There are other quarterbacks on the board that people thought you should have taken before them. Not the prototypical NFL quarterback either. Number one, from height, but number two, the fact that he's a lefty. Like, you don't see a ton of lefty quarterbacks in the NFL in general. So I now wonder how much longer the leash is with Stefanski, at least in the front office's eyes, because they want to give him time. Like the way I view it now with the end of the season, not soon, but on the horizon, and the Browns on the outside looking in and potentially making the playoffs, they're going to look at Stefanski, the 13-game sample size probably he'll have with Dillon Gabriel, and say, is this your guy? Did you do enough with him? Or was this, a coaching, quote, malpractice or just bad coaching from the start? If they're not winning a lot of games, I think, again, they let him finish out the season, but he's gone after the season if that's the case. I think much like, I hate to keep comparing it to the whole Jackson Dart thing, but much like Jackson Dart is, quote, saving or here to save Brian Daboll's job, I think Dillon Gabriel has to be the same for Stefanski.
You're right. But then this is where it also plays into the part where if you fumble this stretch of football, put yourself in the locker room, put yourself in Myles Garrett's shoes, Grant Delpit's shoes, all of the guys that are making the money right now. If you go through this stretch with Miami, New England, and the Jets, and you can't find a win during that stretch with your quarterback that you handpicked, I don't give a damn what type of false hope you got or what type of vision or plan that you got. The players in the locker room are not going to want to continue to play that season with Dillon Gabriel as their quarterback if he can't manage through that stretch of football. So you ask how long the leash is. Once we get past this New York Jets game, if we pull out one win in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, I don't know how much long the leash can be for a guy like Dillon Gabriel when you have Shedeur Sanders in the shadows.
That's another interesting part of this too. Like we talk about the leash with Stefanski above anything else, and like rightfully so, Stefanski should be the guy that we're looking at the most critically right now. But let's say the season doesn't go well, kind of like the scenario you just brought up where Dillon Gabriel is not playing well. And again, I think a lot of that blame will fall on Stefanski. That's the reality of it. When do you turn to Shedeur? Do you turn to Shedeur? And the question I continue to ask, I still think it's a possibility, even though everybody hates it. Do you turn to Deshaun Watson before you turn to Shedeur? Personally, I'm not saying I would. I think the Browns do if it gets to that point, as weird and bad as I think they do.
I mean, you're not wrong. I can see that world. But again, I think this goes back to the players in the locker room. I think you're at that point now where you're going to have to get the okay from certain types of people. And I think it starts with Myles Garrett. Like, I mention it all the time because I think it's such a piece to this puzzle. It may not be the king piece on the board, but it's definitely a rook or a bishop. Like, that piece is such a key factor into how all of this stuff has played out, because who's to say there wasn't some type of agreement behind the scenes or just something like that. I feel like the nightmare of Myles Garrett could be here again. Like, he's going to want out of Cleveland if we're not winning games. You can't afford to let this stuff go like that. So you're going to have to show something. You can't waste the season.
I said it to Jack, actually, literally 3 hours ago. There is a world where Myles Garrett requests a trade again. 100%. I don't think it's out of the cards. That's the reality of it. We got plenty more to talk about with the Browns coming up next on Honor Land on Big Play Sports Network with a very special guest in the next segment. Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay, and we are welcoming on a very special guest, a friend of the program from previous years as well, Mac, _Buffalo on Twitter. Mac, we appreciate you hopping on. Welcome into the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. Now, one thing we always want to talk to people about, we didn't get you in the offseason to talk to you about this, is the quarterback scenario in your mind, but as it relates, I guess, now to the regular season. Obviously, Flacco being benched, potentially no better show to come on than right now after the benching for Dillon Gabriel. I'm curious, where is your head at with this quarterback situation right now? Do you think it was time?
I mean, yeah, it's getting to a point to where everything is kind of bubbling over. I know we're only 4 weeks in. Zay touched on it earlier. The last time that they scored over 20 points in a game was that Monday nighter, against Denver.
And they lost.
It's been that long. So, you got to give your players something. Joe has been an absolute professional, in the 2 stints that he's been here, but it's just time. He's physically limited, from his waist down. He can't really move as well in the pocket anymore. He's not as quick on those boots. And I pointed out in a tweet a couple weeks ago, defenses are accounting for it. Every single run that we have, whether it's under center or in the shotgun, defensive ends are chasing backside. There is no threat at all for Joe Flacco to pull it. And we even saw last game, even in the instance where he does run, I mean, what was that slide that was like 2 yards short of the first down? It's just getting to a point to where it's bubbling over. It needed to happen. And, to your guys' point, there are people in this locker room that you have to answer to. You do have to answer to a guy like Joe Platonio, who came back for another season after mulling retirement. You have to answer to, of course, Myles Garrett, a guy that, and say what you want about his comments, but he was right in saying that he wants to win. I mean, all players in the NFL want to win. So you have to give them the best opportunity moving forward, and you have to turn to your rookies now to provide some kind of spark. What kind of spark that'll be, we'll find out, but it's time.
I couldn't agree more that it is time. What really fascinates me, like you talked about, is the, I guess, previous limitations of the offense, but also now how it's going to look, because every Browns fan wants the offense to be better, but also look different, because, there were minimal deep shots. I think we all saw it last week more than any other week, the limited mobility of Joe Flacco. Is there anything specific you're looking at offensively for the Browns to do differently with Dillon Gabriel?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be the quarterback boots, and it's going to be those zone reads. I'm highly anticipating at least 3 or 4 rushes where Dillon pulls it and keeps it. Because these defenses are crashing so hard against the run. And Quinshon Judkins is starting to give them a reason to prepare for it, right? Among running backs in the NFL with 49 attempts, Quinshon Judkins leads the entire NFL with 4.1 yards after contact. Like, he is a tough man to bring down. So defenses are trying their best to stop the run, because that's the only juice the Browns have on offense. So it's going to get to a point to where those lanes are going to be open for Dillon Gabriel. And he did it in college. The past 2 years, he had 19 rushing touchdowns. So he can, is he the fastest guy? No, but he can scoot, right? So, that's definitely something that I'm going to be looking for. And you're facing a Vikings defense that gave up 99 yards to Kenneth Gainwell. Right?
Gainwell,
so the past 4 games, they gave up 119 against the Bears, 218 against the Falcons. Bengals really don't run much, 53 yards, and then 182 yards against the Steelers. The Steelers have been struggling to run the ball all year. They had no problem, doing it in Ireland against the Vikings. So I think that Dillon gives this offense some opportunity to keep defenses honest against the run.
Absolutely. I know that's music to your ears too, Zay.
Yeah, I got a question for you. Maybe you can help me understand it a little bit. Like, the big question I'm always asking, what we were looking for in Kevin Stefanski, and with any quarterback that he has or whatever, what is the bar that we're actually looking for in terms of the offense? Because when you have an offensive minded coach and a guy who's supposed to be able to get the most out of all of your talented players, and we're not seeing that on an every single week basis. I mean, it goes back to the term when we're talking about why does Nick Chubb only have 17 carries when he has $130 on the ground? You know what I mean? What is the bar that we should expect from Dillon Gabriel and this offense moving forward, knowing you have the type of defense that you have?
Now, so I'll give you 2 bars here. First bar is going to be, what should happen, like a decent NFL offense. And I'm going to flat out say 20 points. I'm tired of the QB argument. To your guys' point, 2023, we didn't really have any problems scoring points then with the 5 different quarterbacks that we started. Here's a quick list of guys just this year that led an offense to 20 points. Jake Browning, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, Spencer Rattler. Okay, those aren't all pro quarterbacks. Those aren't top 10 guys. Those aren't guys that are putting offenses on their back. Those are guys that are operating an offense and still scoring. Now, let's go to a realistic bar, because it as much as I love this team, we do have to be honest with ourselves. It's an absolute mess on that side of the ball. It really is. So a realistic bar for me would be, not going 3 of 13 on third down, not averaging 2 turnovers a game, being able to not have the defense completely gassed in the fourth quarter to the point to where the second string guys that are rotating in the front 7 can't even catch their breath because they just did a 3 and out and immediately have to put their helmet back on because the offense can't even get a first down. Yeah. So, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting antsy a little bit because
no, and you have every right to, because it's one of those things to where it's so frustrating. And as much as I'd love to point to just one player, to one group, you really can't. Wide receivers. I don't know if they're still leading the league in drops, but through 3 weeks they were. Yeah. You have an offensive line to where I loved how they went back, and got out of those shotgun runs, but they're still a mess coming off of double teams. They're not coming off quick enough. They're not getting enough push up front. So that's leading to a lot of things. You have now, thank God, that Andrew Berry traded for Cam Robinson, because Cornelius Lucas was leading the league in pressures by a wide margin. So he has 28 pressures given up through 4 weeks. The next highest is a tackle from Tampa Bay with 18. So he's leading by 10 whole pressures. That, as a guy that used to play offensive line, I'm shaking saying that stat right now. That is, to put it nicely, that's not okay. So it's an absolute mess on that side of the ball. And you know what? And I will say this, sometimes a quarterback change can spark that, right? Sometimes it can give you just enough hope to where everybody puts in a little bit more focus, a little bit more attention to detail, a little bit more effort when correcting in film. I mean, we saw that when Baker came in through and I'm not comparing the two, 2 different prospects, 2 different in terms of like games, mentality, arm strength. But we saw that kind of juice. So can Dillon be that guy? I don't know, but there is at least a little bit of hope with that instead of, hey, we're going to keep trying the same thing.
I just want to backtrack real quick, Max, before we move on, because the bar thing is where I wanted to stop you right there, because that's my problem with this. You said the realistic just a natural NFL bar. But then you see how the goalpost had to move for you when you said, well, this is what I expect for the Browns. Like, that's my problem in all this. Then you go in and you mention the whole, well, we do lead the league in drops and we do have these problems on offense, but we still have playmakers. And why isn't he utilizing or doing things to at least build a rhythm? He's going deep into the water and trying to make chunk plays happen before you can even dump off a little. When's the last time we've seen a screen across the middle of the play, or a slant across the middle of the field, or a drag across the middle of the field? Like, That's my problem, that we have to have, and it feeds into the whole Kevin Stefanski thing where it's like, well, he's the best we've ever had. That was the point that you just made. You're setting a bar for the Browns when the NFL wouldn't even be content with what's going on. That's my problem with this. We have talked ourselves into believing that mid is acceptable when if you compare it up to guys like Spencer Rattler, Matt Jones, and the other plethora of quarterbacks you just ran off, they're not even meeting that bar. So I'm at that point where it's just like, we have to stop singling ourselves out from the rest of the NFL, because that's why people are hanging their hats on Kevin Stefanski and they believe that he can do it, because we're setting a bar for the Cleveland Browns when we should be setting the bar for the entirety of the NFL.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. First of all, I will say, and I'm going to grab the mic when I say this, be careful talking about my boy Daniel Jones like that. Second of all, we do have a lot more to talk about. Hey, you know what? For better, for worse, he's looked great this year. I'm not going to discount the past 6 years of football, but he's looked good this year. But we do have to take a break here. We'll talk more offense, more quarterback play, and some offensive line stuff up next on Honor and Land on Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay, and we are joined by Mac_Buffalo on Twitter. Mac, we talked a bunch about the quarterback play as well as, what it relates to in the rest of the NFL. You and Zay were having an incredible conversation about what the Browns bar is and how much lower that is than just like the rest of the league. What changes that? Zay, I think I know your answer. I honestly think I'm with you at this point in my young professional career. What has to change for the Browns to get there? It feels like a yearly conversation.
It's not the quarterback. It is the quarterback, but it's not the offensive line. It's not the offensive line coach. It's not the defensive back coach. It's not this coach. It's not that coach. It's the one in the words of Hugh Jackson. You remember when he sat at that table on Hard Knocks and he's like, I'm the one driving the bus. I'm going to make the decisions. We sat there and looked at him like he had like snakes growing out of his head. It is the guy who's running the offense's problem. It's getting to a point now. It's so funny how the spectrums in the worlds are so different. The Ravens are battling their head coach problem. The Steelers want Mike Tomlin can. Zach Taylor has his different types of scenario. We are all having our coaching problems in different areas, and we would kill to have John Harbaugh. We would kill to have Mike Tomlin. It's because of the expectation and the bar. If we were 9-8 every single year, do you think Browns fans would be pissed right now? We'd be banging on it. That would be a valid reason to be like, you know what? Kevin's the guy. The Steelers have been 9-8 for so long. They are tired of being mid. That's what crazy. The comparison is. So I just think it's one of those things where until you get the head, and you're not going to get Jimmy Haslam out of here. All the people saying that Jimmy Haslam needs to sell the team, I got news for you. He's not going to get out of here. So the next head is the guy running the show, and that's your coach. Or Paul T. Podesta.
I'm with you. I think that's the point where it's coming to. And I think it's very clear for anybody who watches and listens to know, I was more of a Stefanski guy walking into the year, and just watching the film, it's okay to be open-minded and seeing this stuff. The offense is bad, and it is a top-down issue. Obviously, the quarterback play could be better. That's why they're making the change, but it's a top-down issue. That's the reality of it. But walking into this year, there were a lot of question marks with the talent. How many offensive playmakers do you have? Would you even have premier offensive playmakers? The reality is, even though most of them are rookies, you have them in Quinshon Judkins and Harold Fannin Jr. I think Jerry Jeudy, like talked about, can still create separation, can still be a number one receiver. Obviously, he, again, is not at fault for everything in this situation, but carries a burden of his own. It's clear to see the offensive talent is there. However, it's not being utilized. There's no production from it. Like you said, that's a top-down issue. Eventually, something has to change, and I think we all know what it is, unless magically Dillon Gabriel is the magic pill to the Kevin Stefanski offense that he's been waiting for however long, with not having to tailor a system around Deshaun Watson, not working with 40-year-old Joe Flacco, whatever it may be. Maybe he's the magic pill, but until proven otherwise, it's hard to believe, right?
But guess what you said, though? You said pill. And what do pills do? They mask the symptoms. They don't take the problem away. Dillon Gabriel can mask all of the problems that we have on our team, but when it's all said and done, the foundation is still going to be rotted. You're still going to have leadership problems. You're still going to have things that that is going to be covered up because your quarterback is yielding you to victory. That's my problem with all of this. You can get all of that out of the way now. But if Dillon Gabriel does come out and he does have some success, it's only going to be a matter of time before he strings together a few losses and you start to see players start to quit again and you start to see that energy move. It's a leader. Again, the guts will eventually start to show the real picture.
That's good. I like that analogy a lot. Mac, what are your thoughts?
It's really tough. And, again, it's just like how we've been saying here, it's that expectation, right? If it was any other organization, we would not be putting up with this. We would not be putting up with leading the league in pre-snap penalties multiple years. 4 out of the past 5 years, we have been top 5 in pre-snap penalties.
That is crazy.
Like,
that's a crazy.
As a play calling head coach, that does not make sense. It does not make sense that we brought in a guy specifically for the offense and we have an offensive disaster. Now, to your point, if Dillon Gabriel comes out and balls out, is completely like, lighting the world on fire, that's great. But we also have to look at the realistic side of the picture here. He's a 3rd round pick. He's a guy to where I'm pretty sure every other team outside of Cleveland had him outside of the top 100. I don't know if I want to believe it, just simply because, we've been told for years that, both Kevin and AB are locked in together, right? It's the circle of trust. The thought partners is the term that they use. Mel Kiper did say on ESPN that Dillon was Kevin's pick, Shedeur was Andrew Berry's value pick. And if they're split on that, and Dillon goes out and he does not string together some wins, string together some hope, is there a possibility that Kevin's seat gets a little bit hotter?
Oh, yeah.
I think they're split now, though. I think I was with you. They were tied at the hip at one point. I think this year he severed it.
It's it's like, and Andrew Berry tried his best to kind of have everybody looking at each other and say, okay, we're not contenders, but we won't be awful. Well, hate to tell you, 4 weeks into the season,
it's pretty bad.
If it wasn't for a miracle field goal, and Andre Smith has played his absolute butt off the past 3 weeks. It was an absolute heartbreaker to see him miss that kick, even though it was literally a 57. Those aren't automatic. But, outside of his game-winning kick, the Browns have been absolutely awful on offense and special teams. Like, it's been disastrous. It's been hard to watch. It's getting to the point to where, everybody in brown and orange has an absolute migraine for 4 quarters, watching this team operate outside of the defense. It's going to get to a point. There's no way that they're going to go an entire season. Like, what happens if they string together another 4 wins? You think honestly they're going to bring him back? Like, you can't do that. You can't show everybody in the organization, the players, the guys that are working in the front office, that you're okay with losing, because that's what it kind of seems like right now.
It's like feeding a baby green beans and tricking them to thinking that it's banana. It's not. Like, eventually I'm going to grow up and realize that you're playing me. It's like, I'm 6 years old now, Kev. You've been with us for a long time. I kind of know what the deal is here. You suck, buddy.
That is the reality with I don't know if the tie has been fully severed. It's tough to tell. Like, we're not in the building. We'll never truly know. But that seems like the reality now. Maybe this offseason, Andrew Berry is at a point where he realizes what's happening. He realizes we can't keep feeding people green beans and telling them it's banana. And he's like, look, this has to be enough at some point. Again, we don't know whose pick was who outside of the quarterbacks, Quinshon Judkins, all this. Like, we don't know, but Andrew Berry has had one hell of a draft class this year. That's the reality. And Zay and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Really interesting to see how good this draft class is, because Andrew Berry had multiple swings of the bat really early on, which he never really had post Deshaun Watson. And that's the reality with this. But we are going to take a break here. We've talked plenty about the offense. Got to talk about the defensive side of the ball, because there are some problems the Minnesota Vikings will present in London. We'll talk about that up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay, and we are here with Mac the Buffalo Mac. The Browns travel to London to take on a Vikings offense that is beat up, for lack of a better phrase, even though they have arguably the best receiver in the NFL and a pretty deep pass catcher room outside of him. Obviously, the offensive line's beat up a lot, took big hits last week against Pittsburgh. What are you looking at most specifically in this Vikings offense that could potentially give the Browns the most trouble?
This is going to sound awfully cocky of me, especially being a guy that's covering a 1-3 football team. But I think the only issue is going to be the defense gets tired, because they have an all-time mismatch with what's coming, versus this Vikings offensive line. So they currently have 3 starters and 1 second string center that are going to be potentially out for this game. You have Donovan Jackson, you have Ryan Kelly, you have Michael Juergens, his backup, and you have Brian O'Neill, all DNPs. Today.
Brian O'Neill almost definitely is out. And the other guys, DNPs on Thursday is not a good sign.
Exactly. So, you have that versus a top 5 pick, Mason Graham, who, while he's still coming along in his pass rush, he's no scrub rushing the passer, right? And he's a very good interior run defender. And then you have Malik Collins, who coming into week 4 was the best pass rushing defensive tackle in terms of win rate. So there are going to be a lot of opportunities up front for this front 7 to completely shut it down. And the funny thing is, we haven't even touched on the Browns linebackers, because that's the brilliance of having such an elite defensive line, is that you can have a rookie like Carson Schwessinger. All he needs to know is how to find the football, and he can go get it done.
Yeah.
You can have a guy like Devin Bush, who's a former first-round pick that didn't work out in Pittsburgh, that didn't work out in Seattle, come here, and all he has to do, again, is find the football. So there's going to be that mismatch, and we are playing against Carson Wentz. We are playing against the guy that versus a very banged up and underperforming Pittsburgh defense through 2 picks.
Yeah.
Right. He did get 300 yards, right? But
he'll take a shot. We know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and who's going to be very familiar with that? Grant Delpit. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in 2022, when Carson Wentz was on the Commanders, Grant Delpit was playing center field and got himself 2 interceptions. 2
of them on his. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's definitely going to be a mismatch, and I fully believe, and, very rarely, because I understand the NFL is a very unpredictable game. I firmly will say that if the offense can at least possess the football, can at least get some first downs, the defense won't have any problem. As long as they're fresh, as long as that they're not hung out to dry, in terms of time possession, I really think that the defense can completely shut them out. Now, this isn't to say that Justin Jefferson, won't have a big game. This isn't to say that, Jordan Addison might take advantage, of our underperforming slot cornerbacks, right? But there's a lot of opportunities to be had for sacks. There's a lot of opportunities to have for takeaways, and that's what and it's maddening, because I almost feel like the Browns offense can't score or can't get in position to score unless they get the first drive coming out or they get a turnover. And there's opportunities.
And how wild is that to say about a professional football team, where you have to feel like your defense or special teams, regardless, has to do so much for you in order just to score. I go back to the Green Bay game. It's awesome they won the game. Where did they get the ball after the Delpit pick? The 3? I don't know. Inside the 5.
Luke Whippler.
Opening drive touchdown against. Oh yeah, that's right. It was the Luke. Yeah. Opening drive touchdown against Detroit. They scored against Baltimore on a pass that should have been intercepted, that was picked off. And then they scored 2 touchdowns against the bad Bengals defense. That's awesome. This offense shouldn't continue to rely on the defense, as bad as that sounds. I'm with you, Mac. I think that in the world that we see right now with the players on the field, the Browns should destroy them up front defensively for sure, above anything else. But honestly, you trust Denzel Ward against Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is going to get his. That's the reality of it. I've talked about the inside corners really all year long, all August. It terrifies me where they put Jordan Addison, Adam Thielen. That's what I'm going to be watching the most. But if you get after the quarterback, you stop up the run and force Carson Wentz into situations where Myles Garrett, Isaiah McGuire, Alex Wright, all these guys can just pin their ears back. The Vikings, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle offensively. It's going to be very much like it was last week.
Yeah, the thing that we have to watch most out of everything is the opportunity, the word opportunity, but the opportunities that I'm talking about, every single game they have had an opportunity to capitalize off a reward from the defense, whether it be the Grant Delpit interception, whether it be the Denzel Ward interception, whether it be the 3 and out that you get right before halftime against Baltimore and you only find a way to go 7 plays and 28 yards. They have yet to capitalize and score 7 points when the Browns have, or when the defense has created a turnover or a big time 3 and out. And there's your 21 points right there. So that again comes back to the coaching and putting your players in position to win. If we're not going to get 7 off of those gifts that the defense is giving us, you're going to win 2 more games this year max.
Yeah, and then you'd lose your stake bet to Jack, wouldn't you?
I would. Yeah, wait, I need at least 4. So I need 3 more.
You need more than 3, that's for sure. We're going to finish up here and give our game predictions up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay, and we are here with Mac, the Buffalo Mac. We always give a player on each side of the ball to watch, as well as our score predictions. If you want to go first, you can, but I feel like you should bring us home, and I can kick it to Zay first.
I'll love to bring it home.
All right, bring it home. Zay, you want to start or you want me to go first? Because I got 2 guys I'm staring at.
You go ahead. You go first.
Okay, well, offensively, I'm looking at Isaiah Bond. I think this is a guy who has been really good the first few weeks of the season and now has a true opportunity to be the number 2 pass catcher. Production-wise, he was the number, or actually maybe the number 1 yardage-wise, but regardless, like production-wise, he stepped up last week and has been consistently really good. And that's the type of speed you still need in an offense to take the top off. You combine that with his ability to go over the middle. I really, really like his game. And now he has an opportunity to play 70, 80% of snaps in a game against the Vikings defense that's good, but will allow you to throw the ball over the defenders in the middle of the field. So I like Isaiah Bond a lot, and I'm looking at him specifically in this game. On the other side of the ball, I think it's going to be a Carson Wentz takes every single chance he can to throw to Justin Jefferson game because he knows and they know they don't have anything on the ground. So I'm looking at Denzel Ward. I think this is going to be the best test he's faced really all year. You know, it's 1A and 1B with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson provides a little more of a physical challenge for Denzel Ward than a guy like Jamar Chase would. So I'm really looking at Denzel Ward to stop the Vikings' best offensive player. And if you can do that and you feel like you can dominate up front, I don't think it's a crazy thing, like you said, Mac, to say they can shut them out. I think that's a reality.
So I guess on the offensive side of the ball, it's not a player. I'm looking at coach. I need to see coach put Dillon Gabriel in the best position to win. How are you going to do that? We're going to need to see some of those read options. We have to. But more importantly, Q is going to have to run the ball. If 10's not running the ball early and often, if we're not seeing rhythm throws, like we underestimate how important it is to just get a 5-yard screen pass, to open up that middle of the field, to keep the defense honest, to not just continue to play the outside and pressure you that way. Because it doesn't seem like we ever attack the middle of the field. David Njoku could look good, Jerry Jeudy could look good, and all of these other things. But if Kevin Stefanski isn't putting Dillon Gabriel in position to win, the defense can do all of they want. Ultimately, it's going to be the same result that we've seen with PJ, like with all the quarterbacks that we've seen. Gabriel's just going to be another guy on it. So offensive side of the ball, exactly. So give me Dillon or coach on the offensive side of the ball. And then on the defensive side of the ball, let's go Grant Delpit, man. You know, Grant Delpit this year, say what you want about Grant Delpit for the people who, you know, I remember a point in time where a lot of people were questioning if Grant Delpit was a guy that should get the money or if he was worth it. And one thing that he's done this year is really done a great job of being a vocal leader. I know he's probably been vocal in past years, but nothing quite like what we've seen this year. It's showing leadership. So it's going to be a guy that is going to be disruptive. Like you said, familiar face with Carson Wentz, should maybe even another interception. But Grant Delpit should be one of those guys, like we seen it last week, where he was recognizing plays, foreshadowing where stuff was going to go. I'm all eyes on Grant Delpit because he's continuing to show me that he is one of those top safeties in the league.
Absolutely.
So for my offensive guy, I'm looking at, honestly, I should say guys, the tight end position. To your point, Zay, they got to attack the middle of the field. And it's going to have to be the tight ends. It's going to be those big body guys. For a rookie quarterback to come in, they're kind of like, I mean, we all think about Joe Flacco as a dad, right? Well, a rookie QB is kind of like a baby. What does a baby want? A pacifier. That tight end is that kind of that safe little security blanket, the little 4-yard curl, the little drag, underneath the linebackers, things like that. And Dillon's got to get the ball out. He usually does. So that's going to be definitely a good sign, especially against, when healthy, a very good pass rush. So I'm looking for David Njoku, Harold Fannin to make some plays over the middle and kind of help Dillon get the ball out faster. And then for defense, it's very simple. Malik Collins. I mean, he's never going to have an easier matchup in the NFL than he's going to be with the Vikings. I mean, Thor Nystrom. I'm not sure if you guys follow him. He's a big Vikings guy. They're looking, he tweeted out earlier, they're looking at starting an undrafted free agent at left guard next to a center that's practically like never played in the NFL. Yeah. With the injuries up front, somebody's got to eat. And I know for a fact, just like any other offensive coordinator in the NFL, the Vikings are going to try their best to limit Myles Garrett. So the guys in the middle, they have to eat. And I'm really expecting a big game from Malik Collins. I think that he can, because especially with these younger guys, you don't really beat them with strength. You beat them with finesse. You beat them off the ball, those quick swim moves, the counter spins. I will say this, as much as everybody says that Mason Graham struggles in pass rush, him and Malik Collins have such chemistry where they understand the natural stir. Now, what I mean by that is that a lot of times you think that they're actually twisting and doing a stunt, but it just so happens that one guy ends up on the other side of the offensive line, and the other, and his teammate understands that he has to loop around to keep contained. And Mason Graham and Malik Collins have been doing that for 4 weeks now, and it shows all of the work that they've put in, because I touched on this months ago. They've been going to the same pass rush camps. So when they came into the season, they were already, like peanut butter and jelly in the middle. They're meshing really well. So I think those two are going to have a big game. And frankly, they should, because like we said earlier, this defense is going to have to do their absolute best, for the Browns to win, because 100%. It's where we're at. Is that bar kind of sad for the offense? Frustrating? Is it to the point to where everybody's kind of blue in the face? That's the reality. I hate to do that's the reality, because it sounds like I'm just accepting, Zay, like you said earlier, accepting mid, but like mid's the reality. So
that is the reality.
They have to eat.
But it's not, though. That's what's crazy. Like, when that's why I can't get with that. I get what you're saying, and I agree partially, but like, you have a number 1 defense in the league. Mid should not even be in the conversation. Like, that's that's why if I'm a player in that locker room, and I use the example every single week, now that we got a new person on, I'm going to use it again. It reminds me of the Remember the Titans scene right when the defense was split from the offense and they hadn't quite gelled yet. If this offense can just do anything, it's going to be magical. It's going to be Gettysburg with Denzel Ward giving you the quote, and we're going to come out knocking heads off. I'm telling you. But until then, I don't know, man. You seen the shirt that Grant Delpit had on that locker room. It didn't have no offensive players on there. It was all defensive players. That what feels like the mentality is right now. It's defense against everyone else.
It's getting them to play like they are, so I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But like you said, it will be magical when it comes together on the offensive side of the ball. Another important point, adding on to what you said, Mac, Vikings, the most middle field open coverage in the NFL, second most covered 2 in the league. So they are going to leave the middle of the field open for those guys up the seam. A lot of checkdowns, I would venture to guess, as well, keeping things easy for Dillon Gabriel. But we will wait to see. Mac, we appreciate you hopping on. Before we go, we always ask our guests 2 questions. Number 1, favorite restaurant in Cleveland. Number 2, best burger you've had in Cleveland. Assuming they are different places. Maybe they're the same.
I'll do best burger. Okay. So that's the Big Bob's Burger over at Buckeye Beer Engine, Madison Avenue in Lakewood. They do their own special sauce. Big giant burger. For a big giant guy like myself. So I love that. Favorite restaurant. Now that one is tough. I'm going to have to say the Marble Room. I understand it's a little bit basic pick, downtown. Everybody wants to go there, get the cotton candy, birthday surprise thing and, take the photos. So it is a little bit of a basic pick, but that's best damn steak I've ever had. So, I can't really debate that.
Can't say no to a good steak. I know Zay and I are in lockstep with our burger, Cleveland Grill, and it was Strongsville, right?
Yeah, but they just opened one on Carnegie in that little deli market.
Right.
I went and I had it, and it was just as good.
Don't tell me.
You said the Cleveland Grill?
Yeah.
Cleveland Grill.
Bro, I got it. I'm like, man, do I want to try something different? I'm like, nah, that patty melt hit. Bring it in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Mac, we appreciate you hopping on. Feel free to plug your socials anywhere these guys can follow you so they can stay up to date on your content as well.
Absolutely. So I've made it real simple. PHA_Buffalo across every single social media platform, with the exception of Facebook. That's just Mac Blank, my name. So go ahead, follow me. Trying to post the best I can, provide the best insight that I can, because as you guys know, following the Browns and being a big Browns guy can be an absolute headache. So trying our best to make sense of it.
Absolutely. Well, Mac, you gave us great insight today. We appreciate you hopping on. We're going to finish up here up next with our Honor the Lay presented by FanDuel on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Honor Land, presented by FanDuel on the Big Play Sports Network. FanDuel's got an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/BigPlay to download the FanDuel app today and get started. It's for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager. Only $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. We are going to go rapid fire through our Browns picks. And I have a very, very simple one. I don't know if you're on a player or a side here. I kind of want to go first because I feel very, very good about my side here.
I wonder if we have the same pick. Before we get into a quick breaking news, John Gruden is getting the lawsuit discovery against Roger Goodell in the NFL for the leaked emails.
Wow.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
But nonetheless, you can go first. I wonder if we're on the same thing a little bit.
I'm not even thinking about Browns 3.5 plus 3.5. I'm not. I think that's super disrespectful. I think it's wildly disrespectful to look at, number one, the Vikings offensive line injuries. That's the big thing. But number two, just the fact that this team can very clearly compete with good teams. I'm just going to say it. I don't think the Vikings are a good team. I think the Browns can straight up win this game, but if you're giving me 3.5 points, I'm going to take it. Browns plus 3.5 as my leg.
Well, I know you said the Vikings aren't a good team, but fun fact for you. They are 4-0 in London games. They had never lost.
That means they're due to lose.
You're right. Law of average. I kind of want to get frisky with this. I'll give you our frisky one, and then we'll go a safe one. Sprinkle this: Dillon Gabriel anytime touchdown for.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I like that.
We get down to the goal line. We're thinking, is he going to get his first touchdown pass? Or they're going to give it to Q? No, it's going to be a quick pull, and he's going to have he may throw up the wrist just to you know what I'm saying? So we're going to go.
Oh my God! Could you imagine if he did that,
bro? I was just doing that because it was my time. Like, do you know how that would be crazy? That would break the freaking world. But I guess if I can go one, can I go Carson Wentz interception? Like, yeah, does that read? Like, I think that should be something.
I believe you can. I like that though.
Or Myles Garrett sack.
I like Myles Garrett sack too. He didn't get a sack last week, right?
He did not. That's why I love it.
I think he's due. So Myles Garrett sack. Browns plus 3.5. Pat, do you have a leg to take us home?
Yeah, guys, you mentioned it on the show. The Vikings offensive line is very beat up. The Browns defense, they've been stopping a lot of good rushing attacks. They limited Derrick Henry to 11 rushes, 23 yards, held Josh Jacobs in check for the most part, held Chase Brown in check for the most part. So this week, I'm going with Jordan Mason under 67.5 rushing yards.
Love it. I don't know if you guys watched that London game against the Steelers, but Xavier Scott, the other running back, more of a pass catching pass pro running back. Got a lot more reps than I thought he would, so I like that a lot. So Jordan Mason under 67.5 rushing yards. Dillon Gabriel anytime touch. Oh no, Myles Garrett sack. Dillon Gabriel anytime touchdown though straight. I like that. I'll be on that. Myles Garrett sack. Browns plus 3.5, and then Jordan Mason under 67.5 rushing yards. We appreciate you guys watching and listening. We will be back for you post game, hopefully after a Browns win in London, 9:30 a.m. on Sundays. Any final words before we sign off?
Wait, Harry. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
We appreciate you guys watching and listening. We will see you next time.